My sister sold our mother's last camera for a Bali vacation and called me pathetic for crying. I'm Victoria Smith, 35, and this is how a vintage camera exposed my sister's greed to our entire family. What started as a missing heirloom turned into the biggest revelation of our lives, one that cost my sister everything she thought she deserved. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. It started 3 weeks after Mom's funeral when I noticed her camera was missing from the glass cabinet where she'd kept it for 30 years. Mom was Margaret Smith, a retired photographer who'd captured Seattle's transformation through 5 decades. Her studio walls held portraits of 3 mayors, countless newlyweds, and every milestone of our family's life. But her most precious possession wasn't any of those famous shots. It was her Leica M3 from 1954, a wedding gift from my grandfather. "This camera has a soul," she'd tell me, letting my small fingers trace its leather body. "It captured your father's last Christmas, your first steps, Melissa's graduation. Promise me you'll keep it safe." I was 12 when she taught me to load film, to feel for the perfect click of the shutter. Melissa never cared for photography. She'd roll her eyes when Mom talked about f-stops and golden hour light. But I treasured those Saturday mornings in the darkroom, watching images bloom in developer fluid like magic. The cancer took Mom quickly. 3 months from diagnosis to goodbye. In her final week, she gripped my hand with surprising strength. "The camera, Victoria. Don't let anyone take it away. It holds more than you know." I thought she meant the memories. God, how wrong I was. After the funeral, I became the unofficial keeper of Mom's studio. Melissa took the jewelry without asking, claimed Mom's car, because I need it more, but I didn't fight. I only wanted that camera. So when I walked into the studio that Tuesday morning to find the glass cabinet door ajar and the red velvet cushion empty, my heart stopped. The Leica was gone. The cabinet lock showed no damage. Only family had keys. My hands shook as I called Melissa. "The camera's missing." "What camera?" Her voice was distracted, dismissive. "Mom's Leica. From the cabinet." A pause. "Oh, that old thing? Maybe I moved it. Check my Instagram from yesterday." My fingers fumbled with my phone as I opened Instagram. Melissa's profile blazed with her usual curated perfection: yoga poses, smoothie bowls, motivational quotes about living your best life. Yesterday's post stopped me cold. There she stood in designer sunglasses, holding a fan of $100 bills. The caption read, "Turning old junk into paradise. Bali, here I come. Hashtag blessed. Hack travel goals. Marie Kondo." But it wasn't the money that made my stomach drop. In the background, barely visible on a pawn shop counter, sat Mom's Leica. I called her immediately. "You sold Mom's camera?" "Relax, Victoria." I could hear her getting her nails done, the buzz of the salon in the background. It was just sitting there collecting dust. That was Mom's most precious. "Mom's dead." Her words cut like glass. "She doesn't care about some musty camera anymore. I needed the money for my trip. Self-care is important." "You had no right." "I had every right. I'm her daughter too. Besides, you kept the studio, I kept nothing. You took her jewelry, her car." "Practical things, not some ancient camera that probably doesn't even work." She sighed dramatically. "Look, if you're so upset, go buy it back. Harrison's Pawn on Pike Street. Though honestly, Victoria, you're 35. Maybe it's time to stop living in the past." The call ended. I sat in Mom's empty studio, surrounded by her photographs, feeling like I'd failed the one promise she'd asked me to keep. The morning light streamed through the windows, the same golden hour light she'd taught me to recognize, now illuminating nothing but dust motes and betrayal. I grabbed my keys. Harrison's Pawn opened at 10. I had $800 in savings. It would have to be enough. I refreshed Melissa's Instagram obsessively on the drive to Pike Street. More posts had appeared overnight. A screenshot of her Bali booking, 5-star resort, 2 weeks, ocean villa. The price tag made me sick, $5,000. Another post showed her shopping bags from Nordstrom. New vacation wardrobe, can't show up in Bali looking basic. The comments poured in from her followers. Yes, queen. You deserve this. Living your best life. Nobody knew where the money came from. I called her again. This time she picked up with irritation. What now, Victoria? $5,000? You got 5,000 for mom's camera? 3,000 actually. The rest came from selling some other stuff from the studio. What other stuff? Just some old lenses, a light meter, boring equipment. Harry gave me a good deal for the lot. My chest tightened. Those were vintage pieces. Mom collected those for 40 years. And now they're funding my healing journey. Mom would understand. She always said life was for living. She said life was for remembering. That's why she took pictures. Melissa laughed, sharp and dismissive. God, you sound just like her, always so dramatic about things. It's just stuff, Victoria. Stuff doesn't matter. Experiences matter. I'm creating memories. You're erasing them. I'm moving forward. You should try it sometime instead of living in that dusty shrine you call a studio. Her voice turned cruel. Maybe if you weren't so stuck in the past, you'd have a life worth living. A husband, kids, something other than dead woman's junk. The words stung exactly as she'd intended. Where did you get the key to the cabinet? Mom's key ring, from her hospital bag. You're not the only one who visited her, you know. She hung up, leaving me gripping the steering wheel, knuckles white. I met Melissa at our usual coffee shop on 3rd Avenue. She breezed in 20 minutes late, yoga mat under one arm, iPhone in the other hand, live streaming her morning vibes. Hi, loves. Just meeting my sister for coffee. She's having a crisis about some old camera. She flipped the phone toward me. I turned away. Can you not? She ended the stream with air kisses. You're so uptight. That's your problem. My problem is you stole Mom's camera. I didn't steal anything. I took what was mine to take. She ordered an oat milk latte, extra foam. We're both her daughters. Her stuff is our stuff. That camera was specifically... What? Specifically yours? Show me where Mom wrote that down. She smirked. You can't, because she didn't. You just assumed, like you always do. I need the pawn shop receipt. Why? So I can buy it back. She laughed, actually laughed. With what money? Your teacher's salary? Victoria, that camera was worth $3,000 because it's vintage. Harry's probably asking $4,000 to resell it. I'll figure it out. You're 35 and still crying over things. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through Bali resort photos. This is what matters, living, experiencing, not clutching some dusty camera like it's going to bring Mom back. Just give me the receipt. She tossed a crumpled paper across the table. Here, knock yourself out. But honestly, you need therapy, not a camera. This attachment to objects isn't healthy. I smoothed out the receipt. Harrison's pawn, 1 Leica M3, 3 Zeiss lenses, 1 Sekenic light meter, total paid $3,000. The lenses alone were worth $2,000, I said quietly. Then Harry got a deal. Good for him. She stood, yoga mat swinging. I have a flight to catch tomorrow. Try not to spiral while I'm gone. Harrison's pawn sat between a nail salon and a check cashing place, its windows full of guitars and power tools. The bell chimed as I pushed inside, breathing the musty smell of other people's surrendered dreams. Harry Harrison stood behind the counter, 70 years old, with hands that had handled 40 years of desperate transactions. His eyes softened when he saw me. You're Margaret's daughter, the older one. You remember her? Hard to forget a woman who knew the difference between a Summicron and a Summilux lens. He studied my face. You look like her, same eyes. My sister sold you her camera yesterday. I know. His expression shifted, uncomfortable. The Leica M3. Beautiful piece. 1954, matching serial numbers. Your mother brought it in once, 15 years ago, just to show me. Said it was her father's wedding gift. I need to buy it back. He turned to the case behind him, pulled out the camera. My throat tightened seeing it there. Mom's most precious possession sitting between a PlayStation and somebody's wedding ring. $3,000 to reclaim it, he said quietly. I'm sorry. That's what I paid. I have 800 now. Can I pay in installments? He was examining the camera, frowning. That's strange. What? The frame counter shows 12 exposures. Your sister said it was empty. He popped open the back. There's film in here. My heart stopped. Film? Kodak Tri-X, black and white. He held it to the light. Looks like it's been in here a while. Maybe 3, 4 years based on the leader condition. Mom had been sick for 3 months. This film was from before her diagnosis. Ma'am. Harry's voice was gentle but urgent. You need to see this immediately. If this is what I think it is, your sister might have sold more than she knew. If you've ever had a family member dismiss your feelings or take advantage of your kindness, hit that subscribe button. I'm curious. What would you have done in my situation? Let me know in the comments below. And trust me, what happens next will make you rethink everything about family loyalty. Because what Harry and I discovered when we developed that film changed not just my life, but the entire future of our family's inheritance. Let's get back to that moment in the pawn shop, where everything was about to shift. Harry locked the shop door and flipped the sign to closed. I've got a dark room in the back, he said. Haven't used it in years, but developer doesn't expire if stored right. We worked in red-lit silence, the familiar ritual Mom had taught me. Developer, stop bath, fixer. The film strip emerged like a message from the grave. 24 frames. Harry hung them to dry while I studied them through a loop. 23 photos were family shots. Mom's last healthy Christmas, Melissa and me at her studio, the cherry blossoms at the International District. Normal memories. Frame 24 was different. That's a document, Harry said, adjusting his glasses. It was a photograph of a handwritten paper, Mom's distinctive cursive filling the page. At the top, Codicil to Last Will and Testament of Margaret Chen Smith. My hands shook as I read through the loop. Dated 6 months after her original will. Properly witnessed by 2 signatures I recognized, her doctor and her attorney's paralegal. The corporate seal of Davidson and Associates was clearly visible. This is legal, Harry whispered. This is a binding modification to her will. The key paragraph made my knees weak. If my daughter Melissa sells, pawns, or otherwise disposes of any family heirloom or studio equipment without her sister Victoria's written consent, she forfeits all rights to her inheritance. The entirety of my estate shall pass to Victoria alone. Below that, Mom's explanation. Those who cannot treasure memories should not profit from them. Harry made enlarged prints while I stood frozen. Your mother was a smart woman. She knew exactly what she was doing. But why hide it in the camera? Because she knew. Somehow, she knew who would keep it and who would sell it. I read the codicil 3 more times, each word in Mom's careful handwriting burning into my memory. I, Margaret Chen Smith, being of sound mind and body, do hereby modify my last will and testament with the following conditions. My estate, valued at approximately $2 million, including the Seattle property, investment accounts, and studio assets, was to be divided equally between my daughters Victoria and Melissa. However, I add this provision. If Melissa sells, pawns, or otherwise disposes of any item from my studio or personal collection without Victoria's written permission, she forfeits all inheritance rights. Everything passes to Victoria. I make this modification knowing my daughters' natures. Victoria treasures memories. Melissa treasures money. This is not punishment, but protection, for the legacy I spent a lifetime building, and for Victoria, who will preserve it. The person who cannot value a simple camera will not value a fortune wisely. Below were the witness signatures and notary seal. The date was January 15, 2022. Mom had been diagnosed in March. She knew she was getting sick, I whispered. Harry nodded. The frame before this shows your mom holding the document like a selfie, proof she authored it. Smart lady. Why didn't she tell anyone? Maybe she hoped she wouldn't need to. Maybe she hoped Melissa would surprise her. He printed extra copies. You need to call that law firm, today. I thought about Melissa, probably packing for Bali right now, posting about manifesting abundance. She had no idea she just manifested the opposite. Your mother protected you, Harry said gently, even from beyond. She protected both of us. Melissa from her own worst impulses, me from being taken advantage of. What are you going to do? What Mom wanted. Follow the law. Mr. Davidson's office occupied the 40th floor of the Columbia Center. His paralegal, Jennifer, was the one who'd witnessed Mom's codicil. I remember this, Jennifer said, studying the photograph. Mrs. Smith came in alone, very specific about the wording. We tried to convince her to file it formally, but she insisted on keeping it private. Davidson examined the prints through his reading glasses. This is absolutely binding. The witnesses, the notarization, the language, all legal. The photographic evidence with metadata showing the date? Brilliant. So, Melissa really loses everything? According to this, yes. The moment she sold that camera without your permission, she triggered the forfeiture clause. He leaned back. Your mother's estate is substantial. The house alone is worth $1.2 million. The investment accounts, another $800,000. Melissa's planning to leave for Bali tomorrow. We need to act fast. There's a family gathering this weekend, correct? I nodded. Saturday. Our cousin's engagement dinner. Melissa organized it at Giovanni's. Perfect. We'll make the announcement there. Public, witnessed, undeniable. He pulled up the estate files. Your mother was clever. The original will is simple, equal division. No one would suspect a codicil existed. Should I tell Melissa beforehand? Absolutely not. Let her enjoy Bali. The return will be that much more educational. His expression was professionally neutral, but I caught a glimmer of satisfaction. Your mother paid me to protect her daughter's interests. Sometimes that means protecting them from each other. Jennifer prepared the documents while I sat with the weight of $2 million and a sister who'd sold it all for a vacation. Outside, Seattle's skyline stretched toward Elliott Bay. Somewhere out there, Melissa was probably getting a spray tan, completely unaware that her greed had just cost her everything. Melissa's Instagram became a countdown to disaster. Bali in 24 hours, with champagne emojis, packed and ready for paradise, with a flat lay of designer swimsuits. Goodbye, Seattle Gray. Hello, Bali Sun. The family group chat buzzed with her updates. Can't wait to see everyone Saturday before I jet off. Giovanni's at 7, my treat for appetizers. Aunt Carol responded with heart emojis. So proud of you for prioritizing self-care. Uncle Robert chimed in. About time someone in this family learned to live a little. Melissa Private messaged me. You're coming Saturday, right? Or are you too busy mourning that camera? I responded simply, I'll be there. Good. Try to smile. It's supposed to be a celebration. Friday afternoon, she posted from the airport lounge. First class upgrade. When you manifest abundance, abundance manifests you. The comments poured in, her friends gushing about her glow-up and boss babe energy, nobody questioning where a retail salesperson got money for a first-class ticket to Bali. She called me from the gate. Victoria, I've been thinking. Oh? When I get back, we should clean out Mom's studio, sell everything, split the money. It's not healthy, keeping all that stuff. We'll discuss it when you return. I'm serious. I found a company that does estate sales. They think the studio equipment could bring in $50,000. Melissa, board your plane. You're so weird about things. Mom's gone, Victoria. We're alive. We should act like it. Have a safe flight. Whatever. Oh, I left the dinner arrangements with Giovanni's. Don't embarrass me by crying about Mom at the table. She hung up. In 12 hours, she'd be in Bali. In 36 hours, she'd learn what her vacation really cost. Giovanni's hummed with Saturday night energy. Our family commanded the private dining room. 30 relatives gathered around a massive table. The crystal chandelier cast golden light over white tablecloths and wine glasses. Melissa had texted from Bali all day. Beach selfies, infinity pool shots, sunset cocktails. Living my best life while you're all in rainy Seattle. I arrived early, placing my bag carefully on an empty chair. Inside, the enlarged photos, the pawn receipt, and documents from Davidson's office. Family trickled in. Aunt Carol air-kissed me. "Where's your sister?" "Bali." "Good for her. That girl knows how to live. You should take notes." Uncle Robert joined us, bourbon in hand. Melissa sent pictures. "That resort costs $500 a night. Business must be good." Something like that. Cousin Jennifer pulled up Melissa's Instagram. "Look at this spa treatment. $1,000 for a gold facial." The table filled. Everyone scrolling through Melissa's posts, living vicariously through her curated adventure. Nobody asked how she afforded it. "She sold some old things from Mom's studio," I said quietly. Aunt Carol waved dismissively. "Smart girl. No point hoarding junk. Your mother would understand." Would she? Of course. Margaret was practical. She'd want you girls to be happy. The appetizers arrived. Bruschetta, calamari, Caesar salad. Melissa had ordered the cheapest options, but nobody noticed, too busy discussing her Bali adventures. Uncle Robert raised his glass. "To Melissa, for showing this family how to live." Everyone toasted. I lifted my water glass, knowing that in 20 minutes, Mr. Davidson would walk through that door. "Victoria, you look tense," Aunt Carol observed. "You should try yoga or therapy. This obsession with your mother's things isn't healthy." "Actually, I have something to share about Mom's things." Before I could continue, Uncle Robert's phone buzzed with a video call from Melissa. He propped it against the wine bottle so everyone could see. "Hi, family." Melissa appeared in a silk robe, tropical flowers in her hair. "Missing you all from paradise." The table erupted in greetings. She gave a virtual tour of her villa, the marble bathroom, the private plunge pool. "This is what happens when you stop living in the past and embrace abundance." "Tell them how you afforded it," I said. Melissa laughed, bright and dismissive. "I told you, Victoria. I sold some junk from Mom's studio. That old camera, some dusty lenses, turned clutter into paradise." "Mom's Leica," I clarified. "Her father's wedding gift." "Here we go." Melissa rolled her eyes dramatically. "Everyone, prepare for Victoria's guilt trip about sentimentality." The relatives chuckled uncomfortably. Aunt Carol patted my hand. "Honey, it's just a camera." "Exactly," Melissa continued. "Victoria's still crying about it. Can you believe it? I'm 32, she's 35, and she's sobbing over a piece of metal. Because it meant everything to Mom. Mom's dead." Melissa's words echoed in the suddenly quiet room. "She doesn't care about cameras or studios or any of that. But Victoria wants to turn Mom's workspace into some creepy shrine." Uncle Robert cleared his throat. "Melissa's got a point. You can't live in the past." "See?" Melissa gestured at the screen. "Everyone agrees. Victoria, you need help. This hoarding tendency, this obsession with objects, it's not normal." Jennifer nodded. "My therapist says holding on to deceased parents' items can prevent proper grieving." "Thank you," Melissa practically shouted. Finally, some sense. I did Victoria a favor, forcing her to let go. The table murmured agreement. I sat quietly, watching the door. I stood slowly, my water glass catching the chandelier light. The room quieted. "You're right, Melissa. Mom is dead." My voice was steady, calm. "She died 3 months ago, holding my hand, worried about what would happen to her legacy." "Oh God, here comes the martyrdom," Melissa sighed from the screen. "No martyrdom, just facts." I pulled out the pawn receipt. "You sold Mom's Leica M3 for $3,000, plus her vintage lenses, her father's light meter, items worth $15,000, sold for $3. So? I needed quick cash. For a $5,000 vacation." Aunt Carol shifted uncomfortably. "Victoria, what's your point?" "My point is that Mom knew this would happen." I pulled out the photographs. She knew Melissa's nature, so she planned for it. The table leaned forward. On screen, Melissa's smile faltered. "What are you talking about?" "The camera you sold? There was film inside. Undeveloped film from 3 years ago. So? 23 family photos and one document. I held up the enlarged print. A legal codicil to Mom's will. The room went silent. Even the background restaurant noise seemed to fade. Melissa laughed nervously. "You're making this up." "Mr. Davidson doesn't think so." As if on cue, the door opened. Davidson entered in his navy suit, briefcase in hand, Jennifer beside him with a folder of documents. The family turned to stare. On the screen, Melissa's face had gone pale beneath her tropical tan. "Good evening," Davidson said formally. "I'm here regarding the estate of Margaret Chen Smith." Uncle Robert stood. "What's going on?" "There's been a development regarding the inheritance." Melissa's voice cracked through the phone speaker. "Victoria, what did you do?" "Nothing. Mom did everything. 3 years ago." Mr. Davidson set his briefcase on the empty chair with deliberate precision. The leather clicked open like a judge's gavel. "Who invited you?" Melissa's voice pitched higher from the phone. "Your sister. As executor of your mother's estate, I'm obligated to inform all beneficiaries of significant changes." "What changes? The will was read 3 weeks ago." "The will was. The codicil wasn't." He pulled out a manila folder, thick with documents. "Your mother created a modification to her will 3 years ago. It was discovered this week." Aunt Carol frowned. "Hidden? That seems suspicious." "Not hidden, preserved, in a place your mother knew would reveal itself when necessary." Davidson adjusted his glasses. "Mrs. Smith was quite specific about the conditions." "This is bullshit," Melissa shouted. "Victoria's trying to steal my inheritance." "Actually," Davidson's voice remained professionally neutral, "you forfeited it yourself." The room erupted. Uncle Robert demanded explanations. Aunt Carol accused me of manipulation. Cousins whispered behind hands. On screen, Melissa was standing now, her paradise villa forgotten. Davidson raised a hand. "If I may continue?" The chaos settled into tense silence. "The codicil is legal, witnessed, and notarized." Jennifer here was one of the witnesses. His paralegal nodded confirmation. "It includes a specific forfeiture clause." "What kind of clause?" Uncle Robert demanded. Davidson opened the folder. "Shall I read it to the family, Ms. Smith?" Melissa's face filled the screen, no longer bronze and glowing, but pale with growing fear. "This isn't happening." "I'm afraid it is." Davidson pulled out the document. "With your permission, I'll read the relevant section." I nodded. Around the table, 30 faces turned toward Davidson, their celebration dinner transformed into a tribunal. Davidson's voice filled the private dining room with courtroom gravity. "Codicil to the last will and testament of Margaret Chen Smith, dated January 15, 2022. If my daughter Melissa sells, pawns, or otherwise disposes of any family heirloom or studio equipment without her sister Victoria's written consent, she forfeits all rights to her inheritance. The entirety of my estate shall pass to Victoria alone." The silence was absolute. Forks suspended midair, wine glasses frozen at lips. "The estate value," Davidson continued, "is approximately $2 million. Someone gasped. On the phone screen, Melissa had gone white. "This is fake," she screamed. "Victoria created this." Davidson pulled out the photographs. "The document was photographed by your mother, hidden in her camera's film compartment. The metadata confirms the date. The witnesses are legitimate. The notary seal is valid." He passed the photos around the table. Aunt Carol studied them, her face changing from skepticism to shock. "Furthermore," Davidson continued, "we have the pawn shop receipt showing Ms. Melissa Smith sold the camera and equipment 3 days ago without Victoria's permission." "I didn't know about any codicil." "Ignorance doesn't void the clause." Uncle Robert grabbed the receipt. $3,000. You gave up $2 million for $3,000? Melissa was crying now, mascara streaming. This isn't fair. Victoria manipulated Mom. Yeah. Your mother acted alone, Jennifer spoke up. I witnessed her signing. She was completely lucid, very deliberate. But why? Aunt Carol asked. Davidson read the final paragraph. Those who cannot treasure memories should not profit from them. I make this provision knowing my daughter's natures. The family turned to stare at the phone screen where Melissa stood in her $500 a night villa, the infinity pool glittering behind her like a $2 million mistake. Can you imagine the look on her face? If you think people should respect family heirlooms and not just see dollar signs, give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to know exactly how much this vacation really cost my sister, keep watching. The number will shock you. Because what happened next in that restaurant, with 30 family members as witnesses, would change everything about how our family saw both of us. Let me tell you about Melissa's complete meltdown and the unexpected support that came from the last person I expected. Melissa's scream shattered the restaurant's dignity. You planned this! You knew about the codicil! I found out 3 days ago. When I developed the film you left in the camera you sold. This is fraud! I'll sue! She grabbed her phone, shaking it at the screen like she could reach through and strangle me. You were always Mom's favorite, always the perfect daughter with your art degree and your sensitive soul. Melissa, Davidson interrupted, the document is legal. Contesting it would be expensive and futile. I don't care, I'll fight this. She was standing in her villa, paradise crumbling around her. That camera was half mine. The studio was half mine. According to your mother, ownership required stewardship. Davidson's tone remained steady. You demonstrated the opposite. By taking a vacation? By living my life? By selling your mother's most treasured possession for quick cash, Uncle Robert said quietly. Everyone turned. He was studying the pawn receipt. $3,000, Melissa. You sold your birthright for $3,000. It was just a camera. No, Aunt Carol spoke up, surprising everyone. It wasn't. I remember Margaret with that camera. Every family event, every milestone. She taught Victoria photography with it. So what? So you knew what it meant, and you sold it anyway. Melissa turned her fury back to me. You're going to give me my half. I know you. You're too soft to keep it all. The law says otherwise, Davidson interjected. Screw the law. We're sisters. We are, I said quietly. Which is why you knew I'd never fight you for the jewelry, the car, or anything else you took. You counted on my softness. Mom counted on your greed. Davidson pulled out his laptop, connecting it to his phone. Ms. Smith, I have additional evidence to present. What now? Melissa's voice cracked. The screen filled with a video. Mom appeared, sitting in her studio, the same chair where she'd taught me composition. The timestamp showed 3 years ago, January 15th, 2 hours after signing the codicil. My name is Margaret Chen Smith, Mom's voice filled the restaurant. I'm recording this to explain my decision. Everyone leaned forward. Even Melissa fell silent in Bali. I've modified my will today. If Melissa sells any family heirlooms without Victoria's permission, she loses her inheritance. Mom looked directly at the camera. I do this not from cruelty, but from wisdom. Melissa has always valued things only for their monetary worth. Victoria treasures them for their memories. She held up the Leica. This camera will be the test. If Melissa can respect it, keep it in the family, then she's grown. If she sells it the moment I'm gone, then I've protected Victoria from a lifetime of being exploited. This is emotional manipulation, Melissa shouted. Mom continued as if anticipating the objection. Melissa will call this unfair. But what's unfair is taking advantage of your sister's gentle nature. What's unfair is selling memories for vacations. Harry from the pawn shop stood up from a corner table. I hadn't noticed him arrive. I can confirm the camera contained this film, undeveloped for 3 years. Jennifer added, I have the original notarization records. Everything is legitimate. The evidence mounted like stones on Melissa's chest. On screen, she sank onto her villa's designer couch, the paradise view mocking her with its temporary beauty. $2 million, she whispered. I lost $2 million. You lost more than that, Aunt Carol said quietly. The family's shift was palpable, like wind changing direction. Aunt Carol pushed back her chair, moving from Melissa's empty seat to sit beside me. Margaret knew, she said softly. She knew exactly who her daughters were. Uncle Robert set down his bourbon. Melissa, how could you sell your mother's camera? You just toasted me for it, Melissa shot back. You all said I was smart to live my life. We didn't know you sold something precious for vacation money, Cousin Jennifer said. We thought you'd saved, or gotten a bonus. You all encouraged me. We encouraged you to heal, to travel, Aunt Carol's voice turned cold, not to pillage your mother's legacy. One by one, the relatives turned their backs to the phone screen. The symbolic rejection was devastating. Melissa watched her family literally turn away. You're all hypocrites. You wanted me to be successful. Successful, not heartless, Uncle Robert said. That camera captured every family memory. Your first birthday, your parents' anniversary, your father's funeral. Victoria's being just as selfish keeping everything. Victoria tried to buy it back, Harry spoke from his table. She offered me her entire savings, $800, everything she had. The family turned to me, then back to the screen where Melissa sat in her luxury villa. $800, Jennifer repeated. Victoria was willing to pay everything she had. You sold it for a vacation. This isn't fair. Your mother thought it was, Davidson said simply. The waiter appeared, hesitant. Should I serve the main course? The family sat in stunned silence, their celebration dinner now awake for Melissa's inheritance. Davidson pulled out a detailed financial statement. Let me clarify the exact figures for everyone. The restaurant fell silent. Even the waitstaff stopped moving. The Seattle house, $1.2 million. Investment accounts, $800,000. Studio equipment and archives, $50,000. Personal effects and jewelry, $30,000. Total estate value, $2.08 million. I get nothing? Melissa's voice was hollow. Correct. Furthermore, you owe the estate $3,000 for the items you sold, as they weren't yours to sell. I spent it all. The trip, the clothes, the deposits. Your $5,000 Bali vacation, Uncle Robert calculated aloud, cost you $1 million inheritance. Plus the family trust, Aunt Carol added. How can we trust you now? Davidson continued. The house transfer will take 30 days, the accounts, immediately. Where will I live? Melissa wailed. I've been staying in Mom's house. That's Victoria's decision now. Everyone looked at me. I met Melissa's eyes through the screen. You have 30 days to find alternative housing. You're kicking me out? I'm following Mom's wishes. For a camera! All this for a stupid camera! No, I said firmly, for what the camera represented. Trust, respect, family legacy. Davidson pulled out his calculator. Ms. Smith, if you'd invested your inheritance conservatively at 5% annual return, you'd have earned $100,000 per year. Your vacation cost you $100,000 every year for the rest of your life. The math hung in the air like a guillotine. Melissa grabbed her phone, frantically calculating. No, this can't be happening. Your mother knew, Davidson said quietly, that someone who'd sell a $3,000 camera would squander $2 million. Melissa's transformation was instant. The confident influencer dissolved into desperate tears. Victoria, please. I'm your sister, your only sister. I know. I'll pay you back for the camera. I'll get a loan. It's not about the money. Then what? What do you want? She was on her knees in the villa, designer robe pooling around her. You want me to apologize? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Are you sorry for selling it, or sorry you got caught? Both. Neither. I don't know. She sobbed harder. I already paid for everything. The hotel, the flights, the excursions, $15,000 total. I maxed out my cards thinking I had inheritance coming. Aunt Carol gasped. You spent money you didn't have yet? I thought it was guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed, I said quietly. Mom taught us that. Please, Victoria. I'll change. I'll respect Mom's things. I'll help you preserve the studio. You called it a dusty shrine yesterday. I was wrong, I see that now. I see. Uncle Robert shook his head. You see it because it cost you millions. Melissa turned desperate. What about my life? My job barely covers rent. I needed this inheritance. You needed it, I repeated. Not treasured, not valued, needed. Isn't that enough? Mom didn't think so. You're really going to do this? Take everything? I'm not taking anything. I'm receiving what Mom left me. It's the same thing. No, it's not. You took when you sold that camera. I'm accepting what's given. Melissa's sobs echoed through the speaker. Paradise surrounded her. Infinity pool, ocean view, tropical sunset, all of it now a monument to her catastrophic greed. I stood, my voice carrying the same calm strength Mom had shown in her video. Melissa, I'm not giving you money from the inheritance. You can't be serious. Mom gave you a choice. You made it. I pulled out a business card. This is Dr. Chen, a family therapist. If you want to repair our relationship, we start there. Therapy? I need money, not therapy. You need both, but I'll only help with one. This is cruel. No, boundaries aren't cruel. Mom knew if she'd given you the money outright, you'd waste it. You're proving her right. What about family loyalty? What about it? You sold our mother's most precious possession and called me pathetic for caring. The room nodded in agreement. Melissa was alone on her screen, isolated in paradise. I'm establishing the Margaret Smith Photography Scholarship, I continued. $50,000 a year for underprivileged students. Mom would want her money creating artists, not funding your Instagram lifestyle. You're giving my inheritance to strangers? I'm giving Mom's money the respect you never gave her memory. Melissa tried one more time. What would Mom say if she saw you abandoning me? I pulled up Mom's video on my phone, forwarding to a part Davidson hadn't shown. Mom's voice filled the room again. Victoria will feel guilty. Melissa will use that guilt. Don't let her. Love doesn't mean enabling destructive behavior. Sometimes the most loving thing is to let someone face consequences. The video ended. Melissa stared from her screen, defeated. Your return flight is Thursday, I said. Your 30 days notice starts then. I'll help you find an apartment, but I won't pay for it. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Mom made sure of that. Melissa's grief transformed into rage. She grabbed her phone, swinging it wildly around the villa. I'm recording this. All of you. The whole world will know what you did to me. What we did? Uncle Robert stood. You sold your mother's camera. I'll post this everywhere. I have 50,000 followers. They'll destroy you, Victoria. She was already typing, her fingers flying across the screen. Family betrayal. Sister steals inheritance. You'll be cancelled. Post it, I said calmly. Post the whole story. Tell them about the camera. I will. I'll tell them you manipulated a dying woman. The video proves otherwise. I'll sue. I'll get lawyers. I'll fight this for years. Davidson interjected. Any lawyer will tell you this is ironclad. You'll waste money on a case you can't win. I don't care. I'll make your life hell, Victoria. She stood, designer robe flying, and knocked over a champagne glass. It shattered on the marble floor. You think you've won? I'll contest everything. I'll claim Mom was senile. She wasn't, Jennifer said firmly. I witnessed her, sharp as ever. You're all in on it. Melissa grabbed a vase, raising it threateningly. This conspiracy! The hotel staff appeared in her video background, drawn by the commotion, security in crisp uniforms. Ma'am, is everything all right? No, my family is stealing from me. The security guard looked confused. "Ma'am, please put down the vase." She threw it. It exploded against the wall. The guards moved in. "Don't touch me! I paid for this room!" "Ma'am, we need you to calm down." The phone fell, showing only ceiling as sounds of struggle filled the speaker. Then the call ended. The silence after Melissa's call ended was profound. Then Aunt Carol stood and walked over to embrace me. "Your mother would be so proud." One by one the family rose. Uncle Robert clasped my shoulder. "You handled that with more grace than I would have." "She's still my sister." "Which makes this harder, not easier." Cousin Jennifer hugged me. "You did the right thing." The support was overwhelming. These same people who'd toasted Melissa's vacation an hour ago now surrounded me with understanding. "We didn't know," Aunt Carol said. "We thought Melissa was finally healing from grief." "She was spending it," Uncle Robert added grimly. Harry approached from his corner table. "Your mother was a wise woman. She knew this day would come." "How?" Jennifer asked. "Because Melissa had done it before," Harry revealed. "Years ago, your mother came to my shop looking for her father's watch. Melissa had pawned it. Your mother bought it back quietly, never said a word." The family gasped. This wasn't Melissa's first betrayal. Mom protected her, I realized, even then. "Until she couldn't anymore," Davidson said, packing his briefcase. "The codicil was her way of protecting you both. You from exploitation, Melissa from herself." The waiter nervously approached. "Should we continue with dinner?" Uncle Robert laughed bitterly. "Melissa ordered the cheapest appetizers for 30 people while spending $5,000 on herself." "I'll cover dinner," I said. "Mom would want us together." "With your new inheritance?" Aunt Carol asked gently. "With my teacher's salary. The inheritance will go to the scholarship fund after expenses." The family stared. "All of it?" "Most of it. Mom's legacy isn't money, it's what we do with it." Monday morning, I returned to Harrison's pawn. The bell chimed the same, but everything felt different. Harry smiled when he saw me. "The inheritor returns." "Just Victoria, please." He'd already removed the Leica from the display case. It sat on the counter, polished and dignified. "$3,000 to reclaim it," he said, then pushed the receipt back. "But I'm not taking your money." "Harry, your mother was kind to me. Years ago when my wife was dying, she photographed us. No charge. Said memories shouldn't have a price tag." He slid the camera toward me. "Neither should this. I need to pay you something." "Then pay it forward. That scholarship fund you mentioned, put my $3,000 there." I picked up the camera, feeling its familiar weight. Mom's fingerprints were still on the leather, invisible but present. "There's more," Harry said, producing a box. "Your sister didn't know what she had. These lenses? They're lights glass from the 1960s. Collectors would pay $20,000. She sold them for pennies, because she saw junk where others see treasure." He included several rolls of film. "For new memories." "I can't accept all this." "Your mother accepted nothing from me when I couldn't pay. This is balance being restored." I loaded a fresh roll into the Leica, the motion automatic from years of Mom's teaching. The first frame clicked into place. "What will you photograph first?" Harry asked. "The studio, before anything changes. Mom would want it documented." "She documented everything else," he smiled, "except herself, too busy capturing everyone else's stories." That was Mom, always behind the camera, never in front. Maybe that's the real inheritance, not money or property, but perspective. Back in Mom's studio, I developed the rest of the film from the camera. Each image emerged in the developer like messages from the past. Christmas dinner, 3 years ago. Mom healthy, laughing. Melissa and me on either side, before everything changed. The cherry blossoms at the International District. Mom's hands holding the Leica, teaching a young student. The last frame made me gasp. It was a self-portrait of Mom, holding a letter. I could read it clearly in the enlargement. My dear Victoria, if you're reading this, you found the film. I knew you would. You always saw what others missed. I'm not punishing Melissa. I'm protecting you both. She needs to learn that value isn't monetary. You need to learn that kindness requires boundaries. The camera was never about the camera. It was about what we choose to preserve versus what we're willing to sell. I've watched Melissa sell pieces of our history for years. Grandpa's watch, Grandma's rings, always thinking I didn't notice. I bought them back each time, but I won't always be here to fix her mistakes. This codicil isn't about money, it's about truth. Melissa will sell the camera because that's who she is. You'll try to save it because that's who you are. And in that moment, you'll both reveal yourselves completely. Use the inheritance wisely, not to punish, but to build. Create something that honors memory while serving the future. And forgive Melissa, eventually, not for her sake, but for yours. She's broken in ways money can't fix, but you're strong in ways she'll never understand. All my love, Mom. I sat in the dark room, crying for the first time since finding the will. Not from sadness, but from understanding. Mom had orchestrated everything, even her final lesson. 2 weeks later, Melissa stood at my apartment door. No designer clothes, no perfect makeup. She looked exhausted, humble. "Can we talk?" I let her in. She sat on Mom's old couch, the one she'd called outdated last month. "I canceled the rest of the trip, came home early. Why? The hotel kicked me out after my meltdown. The video went viral, but not how I planned." She showed me her phone. The comments were brutal. "Spoiled brat sells dead mom's camera. Karma is beautiful. $2 million vacation. I'm sorry that happened. Are you?" "Yes, public humiliation wasn't part of Mom's plan. Just private consequences?" "Just consequences." She pulled out an envelope. $3,000. I sold my car. "You didn't have to." "Yes, I did. It's not about the money anymore." She looked around the apartment, seeing Mom's photos on every wall. "I never understood why you kept all this." "Because every picture tells a story. I thought they were just old." "Old doesn't mean worthless. I'm seeing a therapist, the one you recommended." She twisted her hands. "She says I have issues with attachment, that I sell things before they can be taken away." Mom knew that. "How?" "Because she watched you do it for years, but she loved you anyway." "Loved me enough to disinherit me?" "Loved you enough to show you who you are, and give you a chance to change." Melissa stood to leave, then paused. "The scholarship fund. Can I contribute when I get back on my feet?" "Of course. Don't give me any inheritance money. Mom was right. I'd waste it." It was the first honest thing she'd said in years. The Margaret Smith Photography Foundation launched 6 months later. The studio became a teaching space, Mom's equipment finally serving new hands. The first scholarship recipient was Maria, 19, from White Center. She held the Leica like it was made of gold. "This is the actual camera?" "The one that started everything," I confirmed. "I read about what happened. Your sister made a choice. Now we're making different ones." I taught Maria the same way Mom taught me, loading film by feel, finding light in shadows, seeing stories in stillness. The studio filled with students every Saturday, learning on equipment Melissa had called junk. The local news covered the launch. Teacher turns inheritance into opportunity. They interviewed me in Mom's studio, her portraits watching from the walls. "Why give away $2 million?" "Because Mom gave me something worth more. She taught me to see. Now I'm passing that on." They wanted to interview Melissa too, but she declined. She was working 2 jobs, living in a small apartment in Renton, rebuilding. The Foundation's first exhibition opened at the Seattle Art Museum. Through Margaret's lens, 50 years of her photography. The mayor attended. 300 people came. Melissa arrived late, standing in the back. She studied each photograph, seeing our family history properly for the first time. The camera that captured it all sat in a place of honor, behind glass but still working. It really was never about the camera, she said quietly. No, it was about what the camera represented. I sold our history for a vacation. You tried to, but history isn't that easily erased. She pointed to a photo of us as children, both holding Mom's hands. Can we get back there? Forward, not back, but yes, we can get somewhere new. 6 months later, I visited Melissa's apartment in Renton. One bedroom, simple furniture, no Instagram-worthy corners. Real life instead of curated perfection. I'm working at 2 places, she said, pouring coffee from a regular maker, not an espresso machine. Retail during the day, restaurant at night. That's exhausting. It's honest. Her refrigerator held actual food, not just champagne and takeout containers. The walls had a few family photos, small prints I'd made for her. Therapy is helping, she continued. Dr. Chen says I equated things with love. If I could sell something, it meant I had power over it. And now? Now I'm learning this difference between price and value. She showed me her bank statement. I'm saving, slowly, $50 a week. For what? I don't know yet. Maybe nothing. Maybe just to prove I can. Her phone sat face down on the table. I deleted Instagram. Couldn't stand the fake life anymore. That must have been hard. Losing 2 million was hard. Deleting an app was relief. She laughed bitterly. My followers dropped me anyway after the video went viral. You're different. I'm broke. It's clarifying. I mean, you're present. Before, you were always performing. For who? An audience that vanished the second I became real? She refilled our cups. Mom saw through it all. She saw through everything. The codicil, she knew I'd sell the camera. And knew I'd save it. A test we both passed by being ourselves. Melissa met my eyes. I'm sorry, not just for the camera, for years of taking advantage. I know. Can we build something new? We already are. Mom's first death anniversary arrived with spring rain. The family gathered at the cemetery, then Giovanni's again, the same private room, different energy. Melissa arrived on time, wearing simple black, no designer labels. She sat quietly, no phone in sight. I want to share something, she said when everyone was seated. The table tensed. Last time she'd spoken here, she'd been in Bali, raging. I wrote Mom a letter. She pulled out a handwritten page. May I read it? Aunt Carol nodded cautiously. Dear Mom, I sold your camera. You knew I would. You planned for it. I hated you for that trap. Now I understand it wasn't a trap but a mirror. You showed me who I was, someone who knew the price of everything but the value of nothing. Her voice stayed steady. I lost $2 million. I gained something harder to measure. Truth. Victoria keeps teaching with your equipment. I'm learning to keep anything. She folded the letter. I'm sorry. To Mom, to Victoria, to all of you. Uncle Robert spoke first. That took courage. No, it took losing everything to see anything. I stood. I have something too. I pulled out the Leica. Melissa, would you take a photo? Of all of us, together? She froze. I don't know how. I'll teach you, like Mom taught me. I showed her how to hold it, to frame the shot. The family arranged themselves, and for the first time in years, Melissa stood behind Mom's camera instead of in front of her own phone. The shutter clicked. How did it feel? Aunt Carol asked. Like holding history, Melissa said quietly. Like finally understanding what I threw away. The Leica sits on my shelf now, not locked away, but displayed openly. Students use it every Saturday, adding their stories to its history. Melissa comes to the studio sometimes. She's learning photography, slowly, without posting about it. Last week, she developed her first roll successfully. The joy on her face was real, unfiltered. Mom knew, she said, watching the images appear. She knew exactly how this would play out. Her final lesson. Expensive lesson, $2 million. The lesson was free. The consequences cost $2 million. She laughed genuinely. Remember when I called you pathetic for crying? 3 days before you lost everything. Mom must have been laughing from heaven. Mom didn't want you to lose, she wanted you to learn. Same thing in my case. The studio door opened. Maria entered with her latest portfolio. Her work was exceptional, already attracting gallery attention. This is what Mom wanted, I said. Art continuing, stories being told. With the camera, I tried to turn into vacation money. That vacation changed everything. $5,000 for 5 days, $2 million lost forever. Melissa helped Maria set up the enlarger. Best worst decision I ever made. Because? Because I finally see what you and Mom saw. That some things can't be bought back once they're sold. The afternoon light slanted through the windows. Mom's golden hour arriving on schedule. 3 women in a dark room, developing pictures, developing ourselves. The real inheritance wasn't money, Melissa said. What was it? Perspective. Mom gave you resources to share it. She gave me consequences to find it. And now? Now we both have what Mom actually left us, the ability to see value beyond price tags. The Leica clicked again, capturing another moment that money couldn't buy. Thank you for watching my story. If you've learned something about setting boundaries with family members, please share this video with someone who needs to hear it. What would you have done? Forgiven immediately or stood your ground? Let me know in the comments. And remember, it's okay to love someone from a distance when they don't respect you. Subscribe for more stories about standing up for yourself with grace and dignity. Sometimes the most valuable inheritance isn't money or property. It's the wisdom to know what's truly worth preserving.